Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with his good friend Dion from Dion Talk. How you doing, buddy?
Howdy, I'm doing great. Thanks for reaching out on a Sunday. I appreciate it. I am ready for round two.
Awesome. What I want to do here is I want to give a shout out, applause, pat on the back, whatever you want to call it, to Ken McElroy. Not that Ken McElroy needs my kudos, but it's fair to say over the last couple of years, I took a shot at him when he called for a 40% crash in single family homes. The good thing is I called it out right away. And as he later admitted, that was a bad call. So that's at water under the bridge. We all make mistakes. I do want to call out a video that Ken McElroy put out today. Well, I saw it today, so it actually may have come out yesterday. I do watch his stuff. He is far better investor than I am, far bigger. So I do watch his stuff, even though he made one mistake. Big deal. The video that he put out today basically says, multifamily investors, LPs, be careful. Without saying it, he is basically saying there's a lot of limited partners that are going to lose their ass, because what we are running into is an environment where bridge debt, where cap rates, where interest rates, where rents, where rent collection, all could go the wrong direction. And he basically went through a waterfall that ended with LPs, you're in last place. And you may not get this value add refi because the debt structure changed. Banks are getting more conservative. It is going to be a disaster. And oh, by the way, as you know, I've been calling this for the last 6 or 9 months. So I called it early. Now, Ken McElroy, an apartment multifamily syndicator, is basically saying, LPs, I'm sorry, some of you have lost your money. What do you think?
So first, I agree with that. I like Ken McElroy stuff. I watch it. I was shocked when he was calling for this massive crash, but had no justification for why. None of the, saying another 2008 without all of the things that lined up to make 2008 happen. But I really like watching their show, even though Ken McElroy is an investor, to me, is unrelatable. He invested in an entirely different era to get started and going. So I can't use those tactics today. He invests in a strategy that's so far beyond me. Like you said, better, bigger, more successful. I get it. But I can't get there, right?
Yeah, it's not even in my umbrella, right? I can't even think about doing 1,000 units in Arizona or Texas.
Right, but here's why I watch all of his content. His co-host.
Yes.
Fiance, now wife, whatever the chronology is there. 3 rentals, just starting out.
Yeah. Has
his mind right there to help run her business as she gets going. Their interaction makes every video they make, I take notes. So yeah. If it was just Ken all the time, I probably wouldn't be as interested. But the dynamic of the two working together, I get total buy-in to this is advice I can use and implement. And when it comes to syndications or the LP investing or the bigger things like that, I was watching Brandon Turner talk on Bigger Pockets one time, and it was before he stepped down, obviously, and he was pushing for his syndication. Yeah, you're accredited investors. You want to invest with us because, and somebody asked why only accredited investors, and here was the explanation that turned me off to syndications forever. He said, I totally get the government. They put these rules in place to where if you're going to take risky investments like something with a syndication, you have to have $1 million in assets or a net worth, $200,000 a year more in income for so many years, or whatever. Like there's these protections in place because, and then Brandon tried to be really heartfelt, and he goes, because I wouldn't want to take a mom and pop investors, their $50,000 life savings that they've worked for a decade to get together, put that into my investment. And then what if we lost it? Like I would be crushed if I lost those people's money. But if an accredited investor comes to me and they've got the assets and the income and they take their $50,000 or their $100,000 and they put it in my fund and we just drop to zero, I'm not going to feel bad. And I was like, whoa, that right in the heart, that arrow came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
No matter what level you're at, we all worked hard to get to the point where we could save the money to invest. That's not why the protections are there in place probably for that reason, but there are, and Brandon Turner's a great guy. He's very successful. Oh, yeah. There are a lot of not successful, very scammy people running syndications that are taking money from people who know projecting rent increases for the next 3 years when we have no idea what's going to happen. Sounds great to the investor who's going to throw their money at us, that we're probably going to lose, but they don't lose. The syndicator got their money up front.
No, again, you got to watch. It's actually a relatively short video. It's 3 points, 8 minutes, I think. Basically, this is what I took away from it. Again, I'll go try to find the link and put it in my show notes, because or they'll just go to Ken McElroy's page. Basically, what he kind of walked through is exactly what we've been talking about. One, and again, Jonathan Twomley, syndicator, Thursdays. Anna Kelly has done syndications. April Crosley. All these people I bring on the channel, we've been talking about this for months. One, bridge debt. Bridge debt is variable, high rate, and short term. We are talking Dave Ramsey blow up kind of stuff, right? Dave Ramsey blew up because he had short-term debt. It wasn't because he wasn't a millionaire. It's because his debt went bad all at the same time. So very bad. Lots of deals are only getting done with bridge debt. And oh, by the way, IO or interest only bridge debt. Bad, bad, bad. Second, rates are up. Rates are up 200 basis points, 250 basis points. And oh, by the way, worse yet for multifamily, banks are getting nervous. If you need another sign that banks are getting nervous, the number one entrepreneur in the world, Elon Musk, is looking to retrade Twitter and change how he's buying it. He is going from basically using his Twitter stock as collateral. No, not Twitter. Sorry. Tesla stock for Twitter as collateral to getting convertible debt. Why is this important? Because Elon Musk is being charged potentially 14% interest. If that's not a sign that the cost of money, the cost of capital is changing fast, you are not paying attention. And then let's get into the operational, or the NOI, as all these big shots want to talk about. They are forecasting rent increases going forward that I think is unrealistic. Yes, there may be a city or two just because of population. It happens. Rent's going to go flat. I think housing and rents will be flat if you do it over the next 5 years. I have lived in a household that had no discretionary income. In fact, most of my upbringing was in that household. We are seeing families being charged $311 because of inflation, food, gas, everything. They don't have the money. They are going to make very hard decisions. And rent, I hate to tell you, landlords, is not priority one. Landlords don't want to hear that. You are going to have debt collection problems. You are going to have vacancies and turnovers in what I call ghosting, where they pack up at the middle of the night and leave. If you are in apartments like Ken McElroy's in, you got a problem. If you're in a house, it's a different story, because a house has more space. A house is more desirable. You will see people leave apartments and buddy up in a house. They will get roommates. Nobody wants to live on the street. So again, there is a lot of dark clouds coming to multifamily. Now, Ken doesn't talk about what percentage. I think he knows not to do that anymore. But there is going to be a 10, 20% haircut in valuations, which in multifamily value add crushes the LP, because you are last in line. Your money's at risk first and you get paid last. That is a horrible place to be. And multifamily investing is going to be terrible. And that's why I'm only buying residential 1s through 4s. I want that 30-year fixed rate debt. I don't want anybody else's money. And frankly, I'm going to do what I did in my book. I'm going to buy as many as I can. And then in 2 or 3 years, when all the pain hits fever pitch, I'm going to 1031 again. Dude, it worked once. Why not do it again? It's coming. So yeah, I really feel bad for LPs that have been sucked in the last year or so. And some of you are still looking at deals. I have no idea why you're doing that, right? You're seeing cap rates at 3.5 in a 10-year environment that's at 3. What are you doing? It's just crazy.
No, and one of the real, I think, sad things about it is a lot of people take from Robert Kiyosaki and they do the 3 greenhouses, 1 red hotel, 3 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. So they build a portfolio that's successful. It's cash flowing. It has a lot of equity. They 1031 at the wrong time. Yeah. And then they think, I no longer have to manage tenants. I no longer have to, tenants, termites, toilets. I don't have to do any of that kind of stuff. I'm going to put my money to work as money. So I'm a true investor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ton of risk.
I mean, yeah, that's what I get asked about 1031s all the time today. And again, you can always find a great deal, right? It's always a great day to do a great deal, no matter what's going on in the market. But I've seen more bad 1031s than good 1031s the last 2 years. And Again, folks, I'm an open book. 2019, before the pandemic, right? I thought prices were at a fever pitch. I was wrong. I sold 2 apartment buildings. One of them 1031 into the 14 houses. The other one, I just paid the taxes. I'm like, I can't find a deal. I'm not getting trapped. So I just paid the taxes. Yeah, I don't do bad. I never do a bad deal. Why would I 1031? Again, you make a profit. It's okay to pay the IRS if you can't find a better use. I mean, sheesh.
Right. Especially when it comes to something that you have no control of. One of the main attractions to real estate is control.
Mm-hmm.
And to just give it all to someone else.
Yeah.
And then the problem we have, especially with people go, I'm looking for a syndicator who has a track record of success. This person's done 9 deals in the last 5 years. Well, in the last 8 years, if you didn't run a profit, there was a real problem. It wasn't that you just weren't unlucky or you didn't put in the work. If you held it long enough, whether it was a flip, a burr, a syndication, because in an up market, everybody's a genius.
Yeah. Appreciation hides sins. And again, I've been doing this 20 some odd years. I see sins today that would make the sins of the last crisis blush. Think about that. And I talk all the time about the guy that had 10 million bucks and then he was bankrupt 9 months later. The sins that I see today will make the sins of 12 years ago blush. That should freak you out.
So here's a question I'm going to ask you to give people like a parting thought for the video as we land the plane.
Sure.
What was the main contributing factors, do you think, to the 2008 housing crash?
First and foremost, it was a lending crisis. Basically, you were giving loans to people that had no chance of paying back, which basically created this vortex of energy that housing only goes up. And it just started building and building and building. And then once the loan structure, we were doing 50%. My market of Fresno, California, 72% of loans were adjustable rate mortgages in 06, which meant they all blew up in 08.
Okay. Follow-up question that'll give everybody that parting thought. How many syndications have adjustable rate loans?
All of them.
Oh, really? 100%? That's so weird. How could that possibly be a problem?
How could it possibly be a problem? And oh, by the way, just like last time, you all got the base year at the lowest rates possible. They're not going down. They are going up, and your costs are going up, and your rent this is so mind-boggling. What do we have today that are records? You got into the deal with record low interest rates. Unfortunately, you only had 1 or 2 years of that, just like 06. Second, you have record occupancy. Occupancy has never, ever, 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 ever been this high. It's not going higher. It's going backwards. And you've seen record rent collections. Not happening. I have lived through an environment where we've had 99% rent collections, 98.8%, so 99. And I lived in an environment where we had 91.2. We're heading into the 91.2. It's coming. And it's coming to apartments. It's not houses. I own both. Apartments is where people struggle because they don't really have an option for roommates. I have seen people move from apartments to a house to share expenses. It's kind of like a rental house hack, right? It's, guys, you apartment LPs, some of you, and I've said this for a year, some of you have lost your money. You don't even know it. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad, 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 bad.
So I have a dirty little secret.
Uh-oh. I like secrets, especially when they're dirty.
Every now and then, I'll watch Dave Ramsey videos.
Oh, no, you don't. No, I'm just kidding. He's all right.
And the last one I was watching, there was a young lady, single parent, having financial struggles, basically struggling to get the couple $1,000s saved up for the first step, or the $1,000 for the first step, and was only making, I think it was like 50 or 60,000 a year, and her rent for her apartment was $2,000 a month. She works remotely.
Oh, wow.
So as you can imagine, all of the advice that Dave gave, and in my head, I was thinking, okay, here's exactly what I would say to you. Move. Like, you work remotely, $2,000 a month for a 2-bedroom place. But in her mind, she was fighting. It was the only place that will work for her. Nowhere else on the planet is safe. This is the only safe place. And $2,000 a month in my area would get you a really nice place.
Dude, I mean, you live on $3,000 a month. That's your budget.
Right.
I mean, come on.
So there are other things you can do. So that apartment complex that's getting $2,000 a month, the solution to money problems is to move. Right. So rents in apartments for syndications is, I think, not only at risk of not going up, but softening.
Oh no, softening. Again, their models break if they're flat. Let's be very clear. They have 3 to 5% rent inflation, like it happens every year. I have done this a long time. I had 8 years, 0% rent growth. 7 years, 0% rent growth. Their models bust because they have to refi in that time. Their NOI is going to be broken. Their taxes will be up, costs up. We have just left. Easy money has left the building. We are now going to pay for the sins, and I will say it again as we wrap up. The sins that I see today make the sins of 2008 blush. That should freak you out. So Dion, how can people find you?
Right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Ciao.